Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we're doing something a bit different, and we are going to be working on one of my company cars actually, but it's a car that I drive pretty regularly, and had a wheel bearing give some issues the other day. And with the economy being what it is, I normally don't work on my own stuff like this, but I'm saving myself about $300 or $400 by doing this job myself, and decided it's worth it right now to take a break from the other projects and get this done. So let's take you through the process of how to change one of these wheel bearings. It's pretty straightforward, but maybe there's something you can learn, or maybe you can at least laugh at me while I'm doing the job.
This is My Cars Shop.
At least a decade ago, I decided that even though I am a certified mechanic and I've owned my own repair businesses and I've worked in dealerships and all of that stuff, I still decided to go ahead and just take my vehicles to somebody else that I trust and have them do the repair work on the daily, so I can focus on other things in life, particularly the hot rods. But as I said, with finances being what they are right now, it's probably worth it to go ahead and do this job. I'd already put a bunch of money into this car a few months back. I had a wheel bearing put in the other side, and we just had a bunch of stuff that needed to be done, and that bill hurt. This one would hurt even worse. So let's take you through this, and we'll change out a wheel bearing here on a 2014 Mini Cooper Clubman. For those wondering, the lug bolts on this are a 17 millimeter, and then we need to take the caliper off and hang that out of the way, and I believe these are 13 millimeters, so we'll grab some tools real quick to get that done. So here we have got a 16 millimeter on there right now. I'm not sure if it's not a 15, but this back is a 13, and we need to hold this nut and back this bolt out so that we can slide the caliper off. 100% those were 15. Now there should be a wire that comes in here. Right there, somewhere, there's a wire, supposed to be a wire that comes in for the brake wear indicator, but I don't see it on this one. There's the speed sensor wire right there. Maybe this doesn't have it. It's supposed to have it. I've seen it on other ones. It's supposed to come right in here. So we'll go ahead and do the right thing and just pop that off of there, and it'll be what it is, but it's supposed to be a brake wear indicator, and I'm not seeing it. Makes me wonder. As highly optioned as this car is, I'm quite surprised it doesn't have it, but it is what it is. Now the other thing you want to make sure of course, is that your parking brake isn't on. Okay, there we go. So we'll do the right thing, and we'll hang that up there with something so we don't put all the pressure on the brake line. But yeah, this does not have that wear indicator. And these are those silly pistons that in order to adjust them, you have to turn that thing in. I don't have the special tool for that. But being as we're not planning to replace the brakes, we should. These rotors are rusty. But these cars end up sitting for a long time and they rust like this, and we check them and make sure that they're safe, and then after you drive them while they stop grinding. Since I'm going to have this off, I probably will go ahead and clean this up a little bit, but at this point there's plenty of rotor meat here and there's plenty of pads, so I'm not going to replace the brakes until they get down further, because we could put a brand new one. These actually aren't that old, if I remember right, and they just rust from sitting, and they don't get driven all the time, especially this one, because this was the backup car. The main car right now is down, so we've been driving this one more, but otherwise this thing can sometimes sit for weeks. So the next thing is to take the caliper mounts off, and there's just two 16 millimeter bolts right there, so we'll pop those off, and then we'll be able to get this rotor off. We're definitely going to be needing some brakes before long on this car. We just need to get back on the road so I have something to drive. But the inner pad was worn a little bit more than the outer pad, and that's because the brakes were kind of stuck, so it was putting more pressure in here, and the caliper wasn't sliding like it should, pulling this other one out. So we will definitely take care of cleaning that up so that we get better pulling here on the outboard pad. Bugger's tight. As far as the threads go, I mean. So that's good. It wasn't going to fall off anyway. Ow, ow, ow! Oh, ow, ow, ow! Pinch my finger against the floor! Ouch. Mother, father, sister, brother, that hurt. Ouch. At least it was my right hand and not my left hand, so it won't affect my guitar playing. I intended to just break them loose with that and use my air ratchet, but of course I just kept going, and that's my own dumb fault. Oops. That's the other tighty. Oops, those are the wrong bolts. Those are the ones for the wheel bearing. I missed the ones up in here. These are the ones we want up in here. Okay, got to get an extensione. Well, I'm ahead of the game. At least I have 2 of the bolts out that I need for the bearing, so that's good. Alright, so let's go take the rotor off now. To remove the rotor, there is a T50 Torx that goes right here, and we'll hopefully find my 1/2" to 3/8 drive impact adapter and be able to pop that out of there with that, because otherwise I probably should have set the parking brake first before we did this, trying to take this off so we could hold that, but we'll get it. It's no big deal. Took me a hot minute to find my 3/8 to 1/2" drive adapter. Didn't understand why it wasn't where it belonged, and then I realized I didn't remember that I broke it, but I broke it. And it's a Matco tool, so I put it in the one drawer that is for warranty. Problem is, I don't think there's a Matco person around anywhere, so we're going to make a road trip, and we're going to have to go get a 1/2" to 3/8 drive. We're going to get an impact adapter to get this done.
Could have swore I had an impact adapter too.
Well, it was definitely not wanting to go to town today, but que sera, sera. You do what you got to do. That's part of the job. So I looked through. I found all of my adapters: 1/2" to 3/4, 1/4 to 3/8, 3/8 to 1/4, 3/4 to 1/2, and the only one that I have, I thought I had bought an impact one, but when I looked at my 1/2" to 3/4, I recognized it and went, okay. In my mind, it was just reversed. So we're going to go ahead and just get a new one and be done with it. For those who have never seen scoops before, it's a 1973 Dodge Dart Swinger with a mildly built 318 in it, 727 transmission. Nothing fancy, just a driver. It's fun for stuff like this. I didn't have it on the road until yesterday, it was, because everything else I have is broken down. Becky's Countryman is in the body shop, and the 2 little minis are broke down right now. Of course, we're fixing the one, and my Cadillac hasn't been on the road for 3 years, so we're just short of vehicles is what I'm trying to say. So in a pinch, drive a classic car. Well, I ended up not going to Tractor Supply, and I went to O'Reilly's. I got the socket, or the adapter. They didn't. I was thinking I was going to go ahead and get a 1/2 to 3/8 and get a, if I could get a T50 1/2" drive, but T55 is the smallest they had, so it's fine. So we're shooting back home now, and hopefully get this thing tore apart, get this job done, eh? That's why I don't do this crap anymore. Guess I could throw some heat on it. I don't want to, strip this out. The other thing is I'm losing some torque because of using, an adapter like this. I tried putting a nut on here with a breaker bar and, holding it tight with the ratchet, I should say, and holding it tight with the breaker bar, and that didn't work. So I have a stronger impact gun, but I'm afraid to use it because I don't want to bust this out. Then I'm really screwed. And the idea here is you heat up the rotor, not the bolt. It's turning a little bit. Let's get some coil on the back of it. So I brushed anti-seize on those threads back there. Let's see what happens. There we go. What a pot licker that was. If you can hear that or not. That is one noisy pot thing right there. Now all we got left to do is those 2 bolts on this, and we can pop this bearing out and get the new one over here and get it put in. Okay. I'm not going to be able to back this one out all the way because of this. I could take that off, I guess. We'll see. I'm a little bit confused or concerned about what that sensor is. I guess we'll deal with it when we deal with it. Can't get that. Yeah, got the socket stuck in there now. I need to take that out of there. I don't know. I'll figure out what I'm doing here and I'll let you know. If you're crazy enough to do this job yourself, I did pull the sway bar link out, so it's just laying back here out of the way. You do have to kind of pry a little bit on it to get it to come out. The second thing I did after I did that was took the bottom bolt out. There's room for that with my air ratchet, and then the top bolt, the bolt when it backs up will not clear the spring because the ratchet hits it because it's so thick. So once this one was out, I was able to just loosen this one and let the bearing walk out, and the bolt stayed in place like this. So obviously there's lots of room for the bolt, but by the time you get the socket and the air ratchet on the back, there's no room for it. The ratchet will hit the spring, but instead with this one out, nothing holding it except this bolt, it just walked the bearing out till it fell and hit the ground. And it is the wrong bearing. Oh. Now I've got a real problem because my Oakland is sitting outside. This car is going to be tied up for a couple days till I can get a part. Oh, this is why I hate this crap. But you can see that our bolt pattern is wrong. So, another trip to town. If I would have just looked in the box, this is a 5-bolt hub. I would have known immediately that's not for this car. This is probably for a countryman and not a clubman. That's my guess. Back to town we go. In my defense, I didn't look. I never dreamed that it would be a 5-bolt flange. I should have looked, but I didn't look because I had no idea what this part looked like. So I thought, well, why bother opening the box up and looking at it? Because I don't know if it's going to be right or not anyway. I have no idea what the inner bolt patterns and all that stuff look like. Should have known better. If I would have opened it up and looked, I would have realized it was a 5-bolt flange, not a 4-bolt. Oh well, this is all a part. We'll go, they're not going to have it in stock, but we will go get the right part coming, and then we'll come back home. We'll throw the wheel back on here so we can roll this car out and get the Oakland back in here, because partly it's Friday. Today is actually St. Patty's Day. Dad is going to be coming out tomorrow to work on the Oakland with me, and I got to have a shop spot. Plus I cannot possibly leave the Oakland sitting outside. Just impossible to do that. That would not be good for that car. So I just need a bigger shop is what I'm trying to say. Well, as frustrating as that was, it actually worked out better than expected. So I went back up, and a couple of the people that had, well, the person that waited on me originally waited on me. It looks like it was for a countryman, not a clubman, but she did her due diligence and got some help, and lo and behold, they had one in stock, so kudos. Funny part was I was driving Scoops because that's the only car I have right now, and there was a bunch of people congregating around, and one thing led to another, and there's a whole stack of My Car Shop business cards up there, and people excited to watch the channel. So, you know, if I would just relax, things work out, but I really was frustrated because I didn't want to have to throw the wheel back on, pull this out, because tomorrow is the Oakland session, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Bearing has got a catch in it. Well, it's got a 3-year warranty, so let's throw her on there and see what it does. I think it's the seal. Yeah, I hope it's the seal. Well, I guess we'll find out. Let's see now. I got to remember the top one is the one we have to do the thing with, and I think I didn't pay attention to was which way that little nubble goes. I bet that little nub might go down. There's a little nub on there, and I just wasn't paying attention because it fell off. There's a picture right there. You ever do that? You look at stuff on a phone so long, you try to do this with your, yeah, that's annoying. Nope, it doesn't. It goes right there. I can see it. Okay, so there's a little dimple right here, and that lines up with this little dimple right there. Okay, you know, if you just look, you can kind of tell stuff sometimes. So we're going to run that in and run that one in. Hopefully this car's a lot quieter now, because it is noisy. It's been noisy for quite a while. I knew that it was failing, but I would check it every day or two, just shake the tire and see if I had any play in there. And of course, lo and behold, yesterday it was like 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. Was it Wednesday? So anyway, all right, let's get this thing put back in here. Same thing, remember the top bolt, I can't put it in when the bolt is back because there's no room. So I started the bolt by hand, and we'll just suck it in, let it pull itself in. So we'll just reverse our whole process here. We'll get this little sway bar thingy put back on there, just like a so, and there and so and stuff. I'm gonna take this and just clean that up just a little Nova Scotia, just to get some of that big chunks off of there. And we said we're gonna have to put brakes on this, but can't do it right now. So, ouch, 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 ouch. Cherry picker in the back. Ow. Got the rotor just scuffed up a little bit, took the big chunks off. I'm definitely going to go ahead and get some brakes coming for this thing, but at least everything will be nice and clean and all apart, and you know, shouldn't have any issues taking this apart next time. So we'll go ahead and put our bolt back in to hold the rotor on, and that's all this is for, is positioning. So I'm going to put some anti-seize on it so that we don't have that massive issue of trying to get that out of there. I'm really glad that at least Mini went ahead and made that a super hardened bolt in there, because that would be a miserable pot licker otherwise. More than tight enough just to hold her in place.
Look, Ma, no play.
We need to get our brake caliper mount put back on here, but I want to clean these springs and stuff up and get some anti-seize on there so that this pad, the outer pad particularly, slides in there a little better, because it doesn't slide at all right now, and that's not a good thing. Caliper mounts are mounted, the pads are back in. I just took my grinder and I just touched off the end of the pads. Oops. Just cleaned them here, here, and here just a little bit. I cleaned up those spring retainers. So I did that on both the pads. Everything fits nicely now. This back one's fitting just a bit tight. Okay, it's better now. I think it's just, it was just being a bit persnickety. There we go. So everything's fitting in there good. It grinds nice now. Real happy with how grindy that is. It's always been that way. Like I said, we'll get some rotors and pads coming for this, and we'll get that done in the next month or so. So the next thing now is to get the cowl lipper back on there. So let's go back in here, take our cowl lipper down out of our little hanger. So what I did was I just have these little hooks around the shop like this, and I just hang that so it wasn't hanging on the hoses, is what I'm trying to say. There we go. It just wasn't lining up exactly right. There we go. It fit. Okay, I didn't need to get down there. I was just needed to be patient is what I needed to be. So I'm going to bolt that back on there, and then all we got left to do, as far as I know, is look it all over to make sure that I forgot something important, and then once I figure out that I did, we'll get it put on there. Just going to take a peek one more time, make sure that everything is copacetic and not so pathetic. We tightened down the sway bar, we tightened down the four wheel bearing bolts, we tightened down the 2 caliper bolts, we got the pads back in, we got the caliper or the rotor tight to the hub, and we've got the wheel tight. We just need to put it down, and we need to just torque it with a torque wrench to 90 foot-pounds on the lug studs, and we should be good. So let's get that done. A couple of safety things. because we have people with all experiences here that watch the channel, and this is mostly a paint and body and classic muscle car, hot rod, antique car shop, but we do stuff like this once in a great while, of course. And make sure you never go under a car when it's just on a jack. Never work on a car when it's just on a jack. Always use a jack stand. My personal rule of thumb is throw as much junk from the shop as you can, if you have to, under there to keep yourself safe. So if the car falls, it doesn't fall on you. Okay. That one was a little loose. Okay. So they're torqued down to 90 foot-pounds, and we're good to go. Righty dighty, let's go for a test drive. It's picked up a little clunk in the back end recently. I'm not sure if that's brakes. I haven't really tested it, but it has nothing to do with what I just did. That's always been there. Well, let's see how she sounds, because it was going much better. Remember that the job is never done until you take a test drive. This road is pretty rough, so let's turn on this road up here. And I was thinking, well, you guys maybe never have ridden in a Mini Cooper, and then I realized how many Talk About It Tuesdays I've done. Oh, when your brain gets down a different channel, I'm telling you. Okay, it was the road. Freaked me out there for a second. There's so much farm equipment around here, these roads just get tore up. But, yeah, way better. No more of the I'm doing, I'm doing well over the speed limit just to test it. I'm not doing over the speed limit. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't be going 85 or 90 miles an hour, because you don't do that. It's not safe and it's illegal, so don't ever drive that fast. It's quiet as a church mouse. So the only thing we got now is a little wind noise that I've never heard before, but I couldn't hear it before because of the bearing. So definitely going to have to do some other work to this car to get rid of some of these rattles. But we bought the white one brand new, and we bought this one used with like 30,000 miles on it. It's got 85,000 on it now. The green one, the Countryman that Becky drives, we bought that one brand new also. And I can't emphasize enough, there's an episode on why I have minis somewhere here on the channel. Maybe I'll start a mini playlist, because there's a couple of episodes. There's one on programming the key for the Countryman, for the 2018 Countryman. And now there's this one, and I think there's one just talking about why I like Mini Coopers. So Mopars and Minis is the name of it. And I'll try to remember to put together a separate playlist for Minis, because I'm sure I'll be doing more stuff. But I think it's good. It's way quieter. Car definitely handles better. The tires on the back aren't the best, but they've got some life left in them. So, and I don't hear as much in the brakes anymore. I know when the shop did the brake on the, the wheel bearing on the passenger side, they went ahead and cleaned up the brake rotor like I did with a grinder, just to get the big chunks off. So I think we're going to be okay. I think the rattle, it's either the sway bar link, wouldn't surprise me. I didn't look at it when I was working on it, or it is the brake pads, and we'll find that out when we do the brake job in another month or so. I have transportation again. Actually, don't have to drive scoops, but I have that in my back pocket if I need it. So, job wasn't too bad, yet was also a pain in the neck. Having wrong parts, all of that stuff was, there's always, a cloud in the silver lining or something like that. I don't think I said that right, but you know what I'm saying. Going to Advance Auto, which is CarQuest, and having them get enthused about scoops and the channel and that kind of stuff was cool. Fortunately, they had that bearing in stock, so that was good. Not being able to get that bloody rotor bolt mount out was a pain in the katukas, but overall, other than a smashed finger when the ratchet slipped, no major blood, so it's all good. I don't think I did the job right, but I got lots of blood building up in the finger, so that'll be cool. So there'll be more coming on Mini Coopers at some point, but this channel is obviously more about paint and body. We're doing a $500 paint job on a Dodge truck. We got the Stitches Challenger, which is definitely a major unibody fabrication project, and the race car that's coming, and we got the ProStart GTS, and we got the Forsyth Duster over here. We got the 47 Ford, we got the 69 Charger. We got so many cars. I can't even keep track of it all, is what I'm trying to say. There's just so many cars. So stick around to the channel if you haven't subscribed to all that stuff. Don't forget to do it. And it's really important here. It's probably the most important thing at My Car Shop. And our loyal viewers know this, but if you don't, always remember, rock!